First contact fallout. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Resolute, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. The stars stretched endlessly before her, cold and distant against the void. The Resolute was Earth's newest deep space patrol vessel, tasked with monitoring the outer reaches of human territory, particularly the recently established colony on Artemis III. Captain, sensors are picking up unusual readings at bearing 047 Mark 12. Lieutenant Commander Jackson reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Energy signatures don't match anything in our database. Alina straightened her uniform, the silver captain's bars catching the blue light from nearby displays. Classification: unknown, Captain. But it's big. Actually, Jackson paused, his face paling. Correction. They're big. Multiple contacts, moving in formation. I count 7, no, 12 distinct vessels. The bridge fell silent. Humanity had expanded through their solar system and to nearby stars over the past century, but they had never encountered another spacefaring species. There had been microbes on Europa, simple plant analogues on Proxima Centauri, but never anything that built starships. Yellow alert. Open all communication channels. Alina ordered, her voice steadied despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. This is Captain Alina Reyes of the United Earth ship Resolute. We come in peace and welcome cultural exchange. Minutes passed with no response. The alien vessels continued their approach, their formation tightening. They're changing course, Captain, Jackson said. They're heading directly for Artemis III. Colony population is currently at 15,000. Alina's jaw tightened. Continue broadcasting on all frequencies. Add translation matrices if we have them. She turned to her communications officer. Lieutenant Chen, notify Earth Command of our situation. Captain, the lead vessel is powering up something. Jackson interrupted. Energy readings are off the charts. Before Alina could respond, a brilliant beam of emerald energy sliced through space, narrowly missing the Resolute's port side. The ship rocked violently as the energy wake hit them. Red alert. Shields up. Alina shouted, bracing herself against her command chair. Evasive maneuvers, pattern Delta. The Resolute banked hard, its engines flaring as it dove away from a second blast. The view screen showed the alien vessels, sleek, obsidian constructs with pulsing green energy lines along their hulls, spreading out to encircle them. They're faster than us, Captain, the helm officer reported grimly. We can't outrun them. Alina's mind raced. The Resolute wasn't a warship. It carried only defensive weaponry. They couldn't fight, and they couldn't run. Lieutenant Chen, emergency transmission to Earth. Priority Alpha. Include all sensor data on the alien vessels. Alina turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Kim, prepare to deploy all probes. Program them to transmit everything they record directly to Earth. Captain, what are you planning? Jackson asked quietly. Alina met his gaze. We need to buy time for Earth to prepare. These aliens are heading for our colony, and they're not responding to peaceful overtures. She took a deep breath. Helm, plot a course between the alien fleet and Artemis III. Tactical, ready defensive measures only. That's suicide, Captain, Jackson whispered. No, Commander. It's our duty. Alina's voice carried throughout the bridge. We are the shield that protects our people. If these aliens want Artemis III, they'll have to go through us first. And in doing so, they'll reveal their capabilities, tactics, and hopefully weaknesses. The Resolute moved into position, a lone sentinel against the approaching alien armada. The probes launched, scattering in all directions, recording everything. The alien vessels opened fire simultaneously. The Resolute's shields flared brilliantly as they absorbed the first volley, but warnings blared across multiple stations. Shields at 38%, Captain, Kim reported. One more hit like that, and we're done. Alina nodded grimly. Helm, initiate emergency protocol Omega. Get us out of here. The Resolute's experimental quantum drive engaged, creating a localized subspace distortion. The ship vanished from normal space, reappearing 2 light-years away. The maximum emergency jump distance. Damage report, Elena demanded, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. Quantum drive is offline. Conventional FTL is operational, but at reduced capacity. Life support stable. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Emergency containment holding, Jackson reported. Elena nodded slowly. Set course for Earth. Maximum sustainable speed. We need to deliver our data and warn them about what's coming. As the Resolute limped away from the encounter, Elena gazed at the tactical display, showing the alien fleet resuming its course toward Artemis III. Her hands clenched into fists. "What are they, Captain?" Chen asked quietly. "Why would they attack without provocation?" Elena shook her head. "I don't know, Lieutenant. But whatever their reasons, humanity now faces its greatest threat, and we need to be ready." Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka stood before the assembled Joint Chiefs of Staff in Earth Command's underground headquarters beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars. The room was silent as the footage from the Resolute's encounter played on the main screen. "The colony on Artemis III has gone dark," Tanaka said after the recording ended. "Our long-range sensors detected weapons fire consistent with the energy signatures recorded by Captain Reyes. We must assume the colony has fallen." General Santos of the United Earth Defense Force slammed her fist on the table. 15,000 civilians. This is an act of war against an enemy we know almost nothing about, Fleet Admiral Okonkwo pointed out. The Resolute's data is incomplete at best. We don't know their numbers, their full capabilities, or their objectives. "What we do know," Tanaka continued, "is that they attacked without provocation, ignored all attempts at communication, and targeted a civilian colony. Their intentions seem clear enough." The room erupted in debate until Earth President Lin raised her hand for silence. "Options," she said simply. Admiral Tanaka stepped forward. "We've analyzed the Resolute's sensor data. The alien vessels, we're calling them harbingers for now, have advanced energy weapons that our current shields cannot withstand for long. Their hulls appear to be composed of an unknown alloy that absorbs rather than reflects our scanning beams." "Weaknesses?" General Santos asked. "Potentially. Their attack patterns were extremely coordinated, too coordinated. They moved in perfect unison, suggesting either a hive mind or centralized command structure. This level of coordination is efficient but potentially inflexible." President Lin nodded thoughtfully. "And our response? We've recalled all deep space vessels and colonial defense ships," Tanaka said. "We're forming Battle Group Sentinel, consisting of our 7 newest warships, led by the dreadnought UES Thunderstrike. Captain Reyes of the Resolute will join the battle group as tactical advisor, given her first-hand experience with the enemy." "Captain Reyes," General Santos questioned. "Shouldn't we have our most experienced admirals leading this?" Tanaka smiled grimly. "Sometimes fresh eyes see what veterans miss. Besides, Captain Reyes has already proposed a battle strategy that our simulations suggest might be effective against these harbingers." The display changed to show a complex series of ship movements that appeared almost random. "The sunburst maneuver," Tanaka explained, "inspired by Earth's ancient naval battles and the hunting patterns of wolf packs. If the harbingers rely on perfect coordination, we'll counter with controlled chaos, unpredictable attack vectors, false retreats, sacrificial feints, and concentration of firepower on isolated targets." President Lin studied the display. "Will it work?" "Against a conventional enemy? Probably not," Tanaka admitted. "But against an adversary that fights with machine-like precision, it might be our best chance." Lin was quiet for a long moment. The Artemis III colony was just the beginning, wasn't it? These harbingers will keep coming. "All indications suggest they're scouting our defenses," Tanaka confirmed. "This is likely a prelude to a larger invasion." President Lin stood, her face resolute. "Then we strike first." Admiral Tanaka, deploy Battle Group Sentinel. We will show these harbingers that humanity will not fall quietly. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, the massive dreadnought that would serve as the flagship for Battle Group Sentinel. Her ribs were still tender from the Resolute's encounter, but she ignored the pain. There was too much work to be done. "Captain on the bridge," announced the deck officer as Admiral Tanaka entered. At ease, Tanaka said, nodding to Alina. "Captain Reyes, walk with me." They moved to the tactical planning room adjacent to the bridge, where a holographic display showed the 7 ships of Battle Group Sentinel in formation. "Your sunburst maneuver has some of my captains concerned," Tanaka said without preamble. "They're trained to fight in coordinated patterns, not whatever this is." Alina studied the hologram. "With respect, Admiral, those coordinated patterns will get them killed against the harbingers. These aliens move with perfect synchronization. It's both their strength and their weakness. They anticipate enemies that fight like they do. And you believe unpredictability is our advantage." "I believe it's our only advantage," Alina replied. "Humans have always excelled at asymmetric warfare. Throughout our history, we've defeated technologically superior forces through unconventional tactics. The harbingers outgun us, Admiral. We can't win a conventional battle." Tanaka was silent for a moment. "You've staked your career on this strategy, Captain. I hope you're right." "Not just my career, sir. All our lives." Alina manipulated the hologram, showing the simulated battle. "Each ship captain will have primary objectives, but significant tactical autonomy. We'll communicate using a randomized encryption protocol that changes every 30 seconds. The harbingers won't be able to predict our movements because even we won't know exactly what we're doing next." "Controlled chaos," Tanaka murmured. "Exactly, sir. Chaos is our ally in this fight." Tanaka studied her for a long moment. "The battle group deploys in 6 hours. Get some rest, Captain. You'll need it." As the Admiral left, Alina remained, watching the holographic ships dance through their unpredictable patterns. Against an enemy that fought with perfect precision, humanity's greatest weapon would be its inherent messiness. She only hoped it would be enough. Humanity's counterstrike. The 7 ships of Battle Group Sentinel emerged from FTL at the edge of the Artemis system. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderstrike, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The remains of Artemis III colony were visible, shattered habitation domes and scattered debris where 15,000 people had once lived. "Life signs?" Admiral Tanaka asked quietly. The science officer shook her head. "None detected, sir." A moment of silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of consoles. Then Tanaka straightened, his face hardening. "Battle stations," he ordered. "Deploy as planned." Alarms sounded throughout the battle group as the ships spread out into the initial sunburst formation. The UES Thunderstrike took the center position, with the cruisers Adamant and Defiant flanking, while the smaller, faster vessels, Harrier, Falcon, Osprey, and Kestrel, moved to their perimeter positions. "Enemy vessels detected," reported the tactical officer. "Multiple signatures emerging from Artemis III's moon. Count is 17 ships, sir." Alina studied the sensor readings, same configuration as before. "They've reinforced their numbers." "They were waiting for us," Tanaka observed. "Or for someone," Alina replied. "They likely anticipated Earth would send a response force." The alien vessels, the harbingers, moved with that same eerie synchronization Alina had witnessed before, forming a perfect arrowhead formation. Their obsidian hulls seemed to absorb the starlight around them, their green energy lines pulsing in precise intervals. "They're preparing to attack," Alina warned, recognizing the pattern. Admiral Tanaka nodded. "All ships, execute Sunburst Phase 1. The human vessels suddenly scattered, breaking formation in what appeared to be random directions. The harbinger's first volley of energy beams sliced through empty space where the battle group had been moments before. They missed, someone whispered in awe. Execute attack pattern Delta, Tanaka ordered. The UES Harrier and Falcon abruptly changed course, accelerating toward the Harbinger formation from opposite vectors. They fired their pulse cannons simultaneously, striking the lead alien vessel from two directions. Its shields flared brilliantly. Direct hits, the tactical officer reported. Enemy vessel shields at approximately 70% capacity. The Harbingers are breaking formation, Elena observed, watching the tactical display. The alien vessels were separating, attempting to track the erratically moving human ships. They're confused by our movement patterns. All ships, execute Sunburst Phase 2, Tanaka commanded. The battle group's movements shifted again. The Thunderstrike, Adamant, and Defiant formed a tight triangle and accelerated directly toward the center of the Harbinger fleet, while the four smaller vessels continued their unpredictable attack runs. They're adapting, Elena warned, noting how the alien vessels were beginning to anticipate some of their movements. Their learning curve is steep. Then we change the rules again, Tanaka replied. All ships, execute Sunburst Phase 3. This time, the human vessels executed a maneuver that seemed suicidal. The four smaller ships suddenly cut their engines, going dark and appearing to drift. The three larger vessels split up, each selecting a different target among the Harbinger fleet. The aliens took the bait. Three of their vessels moved to intercept the drifting human ships, weapons powering up for killing blows. Now, Tanaka ordered. The supposedly disabled human vessels suddenly flared to life, their emergency thrusters firing at maximum. They shot forward at incredible acceleration, passing so close to the Harbinger vessels that they nearly scraped hulls. As they passed, they fired specialized EMP charges designed based on the Resolute's sensor data. Two of the alien vessels went dark, their green energy lines flickering and dying. Direct hit. The tactical officer couldn't contain his excitement. Two enemy vessels disabled. Concentrate fire on the disabled targets, Tanaka commanded. The battle group converged on the vulnerable Harbingers, their combined weaponry tearing through the suddenly unshielded alien hulls. One of the vessels exploded in a brilliant cascade of green and white energy. The other listed heavily, venting atmosphere and debris. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining Harbinger vessels regrouped with frightening speed, forming a new formation that allowed for overlapping fields of fire. Evasive maneuvers, Tanaka shouted as multiple energy beams converged on the Thunderstrike. The massive ship shuddered violently as its shields struggled to absorb the assault. Shields at 42%. Admiral, reported the defensive systems officer. One more concentrated attack like that, and they'll fail. The Osprey's been hit, Elena reported grimly, watching the tactical display. The smaller vessel was spinning out of control, venting atmosphere. Hull breach on their port side. Life support failing. Adamant, move to assist Osprey, Tanaka ordered. Provide covering fire. The UEA's Adamant broke from its attack run, accelerating toward the damaged Osprey. The Harbingers, sensing weakness, redirected three vessels to intercept. They're targeting our rescue effort, Elena observed. They're learning our values. Tanaka's expression darkened. Then let's teach them something else about humanity. All ships, execute Sierra Protocol. Sierra Protocol was the most unpredictable element of the Sunburst maneuver. Each ship captain had been given sealed orders to be opened only upon this command. Not even Tanaka knew what each vessel would do next. What followed was a display of organized chaos that defied conventional fleet tactics. The Harrier accelerated to maximum speed and executed a tight spiral around two Harbinger vessels, laying down a field of proximity mines in its wake. The Falcon cut its primary engines and went to auxiliary power only, appearing dead in space until a Harbinger vessel approached. Then it unleashed its full weapons capacity at point-blank range. The Kestrel performed a maneuver that would have been impossible for any non-human crew, a series of randomized microjumps. appearing and disappearing around the battlefield, firing from unexpected vectors with each reemergence. The Harbingers can't track them all, Alina said, watching the tactical display with growing hope. Their coordination is breaking down. Indeed, the alien vessel's perfect formation had dissolved into individual units trying to counter the unpredictable human attacks. Without their synchronized movement, they were still formidable, but no longer overwhelming. Adamant reports they've secured the Osprey, the communications officer announced. Emergency repairs underway. Casualty report incoming. Tanaka nodded grimly. How many? 12 dead, 27 injured. But the ship is salvageable. The battle continued, the space around Artemis III lighting up with weapons fire. The human vessels darted in and out, striking when opportunity presented itself, retreating when threatened. It wasn't a conventional battle, but a swirling dance of attack and defense, a constant shift of tactics that kept the Harbingers off balance. Then disaster struck. 3 Harbinger vessels coordinated their fire on the UES Defiant. The cruiser's shields failed under the onslaught, and emerald beams sliced through its hull. Secondary explosions cascaded along its length before the reactor containment failed. The Defiant vanished in a blinding flash that temporarily overwhelmed the tactical sensors. All hands lost. The tactical officer reported quietly when the sensors cleared. No survivors detected. Elena felt the loss like a physical blow. 300 crew members, gone in an instant. But there was no time to mourn. "Admiral," she said urgently, "look at the Harbinger vessels that destroyed the Defiant." The 3 alien ships were moving erratically, their coordinated attack having apparently drained their energy reserves. Their green energy lines were pulsing irregularly, and their movements had slowed significantly. They overextended, Tanaka realized. Coordinating that level of firepower cost them. Elena's mind raced. "Sir, I think their ships are linked somehow. When they coordinate attacks, they share energy, but also vulnerabilities. If one is damaged while linked, the others suffer as well," Tanaka finished. A predatory smile crossed his face. Tactical, analyze energy transfer patterns between Harbinger vessels during coordinated attacks. Find me their command and control frequencies. Minutes passed as the battle continued, with the human fleet maintaining its unpredictable movement patterns while the tactical team worked. The Harbingers were adapting, becoming more cautious in their attacks, no longer committing multiple vessels to single targets. "I think we have it, Admiral," the tactical officer finally reported. "There's a distinct energy signature when they coordinate attacks, a carrier wave that connects their systems." "Can we disrupt it?" Tanaka asked. The tactical officer hesitated. "Possibly, but we'd need to get close, inside their defensive perimeter. And we'd need a powerful enough transmission to override their signals." Elena stepped forward. "The Thunderstrike's communication array could do it, but we'd have to divert power from shields." Tanaka considered for a moment. Too risky for the flagship, but he studied the tactical display. "The Osprey is already damaged. If we transferred our disruption package to them." "Sir," Elena protested, "the Osprey's crew would volunteer if asked," Tanaka said firmly. "But I'm not asking." He turned to communications. "Get me Captain Reed of the Osprey." Captain Reed's face appeared on the view screen moments later. Despite the burns on one side of his face, his expression was determined. "Admiral," he acknowledged. "Captain Reed, we have a plan to disrupt the Harbinger's coordination, but it requires getting a ship inside their defensive perimeter with shields down to transmit at maximum power." Reed didn't hesitate. "The Osprey is already compromised, sir. We volunteer." "This is likely a one-way mission, Captain." Reed smiled grimly. "We figured as much when we signed up, Admiral. Just make sure it counts." Tanaka nodded solemnly. "Engineering will transmit the disruption package immediately." "Good hunting, Captain." "For Earth, sir," Reed replied before the transmission ended. The UES Osprey limped away from the Adamant, its hull patched with emergency sealant, visible scorch marks along its port side. It moved slowly at first, appearing severely damaged, which wasn't far from the truth. The Harbingers aren't paying much attention to the Osprey, Elena observed. They think it's crippled. Let's keep it that way, Tanaka replied. All vessels execute diversionary pattern Alpha. Draw their attention away from the Osprey. The remaining human ships launched a coordinated attack on the Harbinger fleet, more aggressive than before. The aliens responded, their vessels converging to meet the threat. And in doing so, they created an opening. The Osprey suddenly accelerated, its engines flaring bright as it pushed beyond safety limitations. It shot toward the center of the Harbinger formation, weaving between the alien vessels with surprising agility. They've been spotted, Elena reported tensely. 2 Harbinger vessels breaking off to intercept. Too late, Tanaka said quietly. The Osprey reached the center of the alien formation and cut its engines. For a moment, it drifted silently. Then its communication array lit up, transmitting the disruption signal at maximum power. The effect on the Harbinger vessels was immediate and dramatic. Their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. Some vessels went dark entirely, while others began firing erratically, hitting their own allies. It's working, Elena exclaimed. All ships, concentrate fire on the command vessel, Tanaka ordered, indicating the largest Harbinger ship at the center of the formation. The human fleet converged, unleashing everything they had. The Harbinger command vessel's shields flickered under the assault, then failed entirely. Plasma torpedoes struck its hull, tearing gaping holes. The alien ship seemed to shudder, its green energy lines flaring brilliantly before going dark. On the Osprey, Captain Reed watched through the viewscreen as the Harbinger command vessel began to break apart. He turned to his bridge crew, the men and women who had volunteered to stay with him for this final mission. It's been an honor, he said simply. The Osprey's reactor containment was already failing, pushed beyond its limits to power the disruption signal. Reed had known it was a suicide mission from the moment he volunteered. But as he watched the Harbinger fleet falling into disarray, he felt only a sense of grim satisfaction. The Osprey exploded in a brilliant flash, taking 2 nearby Harbinger vessels with it. On the thunderstrike, Elena and Tanaka watched in solemn silence as the tactical display registered the Osprey's destruction. Their sacrifice won't be forgotten, Tanaka said quietly. With their command vessel destroyed and their coordination disrupted, the remaining Harbinger ships were still dangerous, but no longer fought as a unified force. The battle group pressed its advantage, targeting the aliens methodically. 3 hours later, it was over. The last Harbinger vessel, heavily damaged, initiated what appeared to be a self-destruct sequence rather than phase capture. The explosion briefly outshone Artemis's sun. Admiral Tanaka stood on the bridge of the Thunderstrike, surveying the aftermath. Of the 7 ships in Battle Group Sentinel, only 4 remained. The Defiant and Osprey had been destroyed, and the Falcon was so badly damaged it would likely be scrapped. Over 800 human lives had been lost, but they had won. 17 alien vessels destroyed or disabled. Earth and its colonies were safe, at least for now. Prepare search and rescue operations, Tanaka ordered. Check for any survivors from the colony or our vessels. Then begin salvage operations on the alien ships. I want every piece of their technology studied. Elena approached him. Admiral, during the battle, I noticed something. The Harbingers could have withdrawn at any point. They had the speed advantage, but they never retreated, never even considered it. Tanaka frowned. You think they were under orders to fight to the death? I think they couldn't conceive of retreat, Elena replied. Their tactics suggest a hive mind, or at least a rigid hierarchy. Individual survival wasn't prioritized. She paused. I'm not sure we've seen their full force yet. You think there will be more? I think we need to be prepared for that possibility. As if in answer to her concern, the communications officer called out, Admiral, we're detecting a transmission. from one of the disabled Harbinger vessels. It's in a format we can understand. Tanaka and Alina exchanged surprised glances. Put it through, the Admiral ordered. The main view screen flickered, then displayed an image that caused everyone on the bridge to stare in shock. The being on the screen was not the insectoid or reptilian alien many had privately imagined. It was unmistakably humanoid, with silvery skin and large, pupilless eyes. When it spoke, its voice was melodic, almost musical. "You fight differently," it said, the words clearly translated by its own technology. "None have defeated the cleansing fleet before." "We are the United Earth Defense Force," Tanaka replied steadily. "You attacked our colony without provocation. Why?" The alien's expression was unreadable. "All other species we have encountered fight as we do. Coordinated, predictable, efficient. They all fell easily." It paused. "You are the first to use chaos as a weapon." Elena stepped forward. "We call it adaptation, innovation. It's how humanity has survived." "Fascinating," the alien said, studying her. "The consensus believed all intelligent life would evolve toward perfect coordination. Your species proves this theory incorrect." "The consensus?" Tanaka questioned. "Our governing collective. They will not be pleased." The alien's tone changed slightly. "But they will be interested. You have earned their attention." "Is that a threat?" Elena asked bluntly. The alien's head tilted. "It is an observation. The cleansing fleet was sent to evaluate your species' potential threat level. You have exceeded all parameters." Its silvery skin seemed to ripple. "I am dying. My ship's life support is failing. Before I join the final consensus, I offer this warning. Prepare yourselves. The harbingers of consensus will return, and they will have adapted to your chaos." The transmission cut off abruptly. Tanaka turned to Elena. "It seems you were right, Captain. This was just the beginning." Elena nodded grimly. "Then we'll need to become even more unpredictable. It's what humans do best." As the battle group began recovery operations around the ruins of Artemis III, word of their victory was already spreading throughout human space. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and emerged victorious through ingenuity, sacrifice, and the one thing that had always defined them as a species, their glorious unpredictability. The harbingers would return, but Earth would be ready. And the stars would learn why you never underestimate humans.